It took a couple of days to get the bike out of customs, but once it was done, I limped it over to the local BMW dealer. It was a specific BMW, and I ended up having to get quite a lot done with the bike. The front shock, both tyres, the final drive was banjoed. I had to get all the fluids done, an oil change, I got a tube in the front wheel. So it ended up costing a fortune to get it back on the road. But once I left it with BMW, I then headed back into Vancouver just to do a bit of sightseeing and go and grab a couple of beers. There's no better feeling than to go into a bar, order a pint and roll out a map in front of you and just map out the next couple of days. Even though I'd ridden to Alaska twice before, I was still surprised to see that it was over almost 2,200 miles to get up there, which was going to probably be a 6 or 7 day ride. When I was in Mongolia and Siberia and Far Eastern Russia, every day is a massive adventure. It's logistically difficult, it's culturally difficult, you don't speak the language, no one understands you. Every single day is a challenge. Like every minute you feel like you're constantly been under pressure, either from the environment or your bike crashing, or you're just constantly in a constant state of being wound up. I mean, it's just unknown after unknown. And the logistics of getting from Magadan to Vancouver were horrific. I've talked about them a bunch of times before, so I don't need to go over them here again. But when I got to North America, having crossed Russia and done the Road of Bones, that transition nearly, for me it nearly ended the trip almost, because I couldn't take it. Every day you'd gone from worrying about everything from fuel to food. Will I get killed? Will I crash the bike? To easy street, you're driving along, beautiful roads, no need to worry about them, just absolute worry-free travelling. There was no uncertainty anymore. You could ride in any direction and you'd always find a place to stay. There was never any problem to find gas or anything like that, and it was absolutely beautiful riding up the Cassiar Highway, through Smithers or Vanderhoof and on up to Hyder and all these places. It's an incredible thing to do, to drive across the States, but across the States or down through Canada. But let's be honest about it, you're on your holidays. You could never go back and convince anybody back home that you were working. You know what I mean? That this was hard work. This is the ultimate holiday of a lifetime. Just on the way from Vancouver up to Whistler, back on the road after an awful long time. It sure is pretty around here. Like, the scenery is gorgeous, it's a beautiful ride, but there was no adventure, and I was bored out of my mind, and I was also, a huge part of me was struggling to deal with not being in Russia and Mongolia anymore. Blue skies, gorgeous, mountains. A lot of them have snow still on the top of them. Nice bendy roads. Riding in North America is just really relaxing. Just nice and calm. Plenty of places to stop, get something to drink or eat if you want. Nice roads, beautiful surfaces, beautiful blue skies, lakes, everything's. It's lovely, it really is, it's beautiful. This part of Canada is just gorgeous. There's no element of, I'm not sure I'm going to make it, that piece of kind of, really got to push myself here. Then again, I'm sure there's trails off up here in the mountains you could take the bike up into, which would test you to your limits pretty quickly, I'd say. If you were transported from where you are now to Mongolia, you would be crushed with the transition. I mean, it's so different. But by the same token, coming the other way, you feel crushed too. I know it should be good, because you should feel better. You should feel, hey, it's easy or great, you're done and all that sort of stuff. But the one thing that I keep constantly harping back in my head to is, I don't know if you've ever seen a program called Around the World in 80 Days with Michael Palin. Basically, he went around the world in 80 days, and the thing is, you can't use an airplane, so you've got to use various modes. But he pulled into Felixstowe. He eventually made his way to the BBC offices, and he went up and there was just a light on and two guys were there having a coffee, I think, if I remember correctly, and he walked in and said, "Hey guys, it's me, I just finished." And he said, "Alright, okay, grand, yeah." And that's the hardest thing about when you set yourself a goal for traveling and you decide that you're going to ride Dublin to New York, or you're going to ride Alaska to Argentina, the only person who's going to think it's great is you. Obviously you'll have some close friends and all that sort of stuff who'll say, hey, well done, you did a great job, fantastic. But mostly they're not going to have a frame of reference to be able to compare it to. So when you start talking about it, pretty quickly they're going to get bored and change the subject. So when you decide to take on a trip, just be mindful you're doing it just for you. No one else is going to get anything out of it bar you. Now you might say, oh, well, I'll write a blog and I'll take loads of pictures and all my friends will be able to look at it and all that sort of stuff. But that's a bonus. That's an added bonus. But you have to start off with the end in mind, which is, this trip is just for me. This is about me going on an adventure, me going on a journey of discovery. Remember, when you finish, there won't be a parade and most people won't care. This is a record for me. So hopefully if I ever have kids one day and I'm kind of getting that look from them, you know, that I presume every dad has ever got from their son or their daughter, which is, you're not cool, you know. I just have an image in my head that when they're 18 or 19, you know, there'll be a DVD shelf to come in and pull down the DVD, throw it on and say, Jesus, you're fucking awful as a mad cunt. Little did they know.
only 90 feet for rear.
Check that out. That's serious stuff. It's off cracking. Feels like it's gonna crush the boat. Valdez, Alaska. The Columbia Glacier, I think is what it's called. You see, we're right out here in the middle of the ice. It is absolutely freezing. It's like standing in a freezer, which is not much of a surprise really when you consider the amount of ice that's out there. Look at the rain. It's been lashing rain all day. We're supposed to have seen a bunch of whales, but we did see some whales and the odd seal and all that sort of stuff. But you know, they're miles away and you have to get soaked to see them. So looking forward to getting a hot cup of tea now. The trip had started to unravel a little bit as I was moving north in the Americas. I was actually fed up with filming and I actually ended up taking a break. I went on a little holiday in the middle of the trip. For that and those details surrounding it, you're going to have to go and read the book Not Dead Yet. I'm often asked, why did you choose Vancouver to ship the bike to from Magadan? And the answer to that is customs is much easier in Canada than it is in the United States. I'm lucky enough that I had been to Alaska before on the motorbike, and one of the places that I fell in love with there was Valdez. So I always knew Valdez was going to be the point where I turned the bike east and started heading for New York. With Alaska, you need to be lucky. You need to get the weather. The first time I was there, I had incredible weather and I had one of the most special experiences of my life. The second time I was there, from the moment I came over to Thompson Pass, all it did was lash rain. And I was holed up there for about 4 days trying to wait for the rain to clear. But the memories that I have from the first time I was there, they'll stay with me for the rest of my life. One of the great things they do in Alaska is they actually count the amount of fish that have swam upriver before fishing season starts. So if you go to Valdez and you look out into the harbour, literally one day there will be no fishing boats out there. And then I think they count, maybe just take an arbitrary number, that 2 million fish have swam upriver. They count them and then fishing season starts. Because they know there's so many animals and birds, bears, you name it, that's reliant on all that fish swimming up. But not only that, you're relying on the fish then to keep down your fly populations by eating all the mosquitoes and everything else. But to me that's advanced environmentalism, that you don't just, all the fish are coming, send out the fishing boats, catch them all without any regard for everything else that's going on around you. You actually turn around and say, well no, we are part of an ecosystem here. They have electronic sensors which count them, on they go, and then fishing season starts. So you have to just say fair play to the Alaskans. To me, that's the sort of stuff that makes you feel good about being a human being, you know. It's really cold here, right? And I suppose the animals to survive here, because, you know, this is summer, right? And it's still really cold. And you'd be thinking that it's no wonder for an animal to survive here, it has to grow a huge coat of fur on it. And I suppose that's where the trade came from, right? You had humans coming up, they needed to keep warm. Hey, your man has got a nice fur jacket on him there. Shoot him and skin him. That jacket will do me grand. But this is caribou country. Every animal seems to have a hunting season here. But I think the animals might be getting wide to it because there's signs here which say no shooting within 365 metres of the road. And thank God there's signs like that. I think it would be an absolutely horrific thing to be riding along and see some guy, you know, shooting from his fucking car at a caribou. This is the sort of river you'd see a salmon trying to scoot up and a bear scooping it out. You always need to be watching. You know, I've already seen, I don't know how many bears, 5 or 6 bears so far. And I've seen a lot of deer. So whenever you're doing it, it's a really good idea to have an eye over your shoulder every now and then, because those risks aren't imaginary. You know, you might think to yourself, there's no fucking bears up here. Well, believe me, there are. There's lots of them. And it's a good idea to keep an eye for them, because they don't take kindly. They won't come up and say, how's it going? They just swipe at you with a bear paw. See this? That is willow herb, and it grows everywhere. in northwestern Europe, and the whole way across Russia, and the whole way across Canada. And it was left there by the Ice Age. The last Ice Age pushed this down, and everywhere where the Ice Age went, on the extremities of it, you've got willow herb growing. Out my back garden I have a heap of that. It's all around Alaska, all through Canada, and it grows for nothing by the side of the road, and it is gorgeous and smells pretty good too. And I love it all, but I have to say I really like the flowers. I used to be a pretty keen gardener, and I mean, I get off and I'm looking at, there's about 20 or 30 different types of plants in flower on the roadside, and it was the same down in Argentina. You'd be looking at stuff going, how the hell is that growing here? All beautiful colours like the purples, yellows, pinks, oranges, fucking you name it, like. And I love the meadow feel of it and how it looks, and it all smells great, you know. When you get off, you just kind of crunch up a bit of it into and breathe it up into your nose like that, and it'll really now if you suffer from hay fever, I wouldn't recommend doing that, but I think you'll really enjoy it. Where are you now? Where are you? Sitting on an old armchair, sitting on a chair somewhere. You should be here. It's like that Australian ad. Well, where the hell are you? Where the bloody hell are you, mate? Eh? You might say, well, for him getting the opportunity to do all that shite. Well, you create your own opportunities. You don't need to fucking do it on a bike or anything like that. You just do it in the car. And then you can be sitting on this rock, in this river, with those mountains behind you, without a care in the world, apart from the fact that you have 3 of the ugliest toenails in the world, and you're trying very hard not to drop your camera into what is a very fast flowing river. If you're riding a motorcycle and you go to Alaska, the first question every other motorcyclist is going to ask you is, did you ride the Dalton Highway? The Dalton Highway is a highway that runs from Prudhoe Bay to Fairbanks. It's about 555 miles long, and it's a service road to service the oil pumping stations in Prudhoe Bay and along the route. And it runs, the road only runs to Fairbanks, the actual oil pipeline runs the whole way to Valdez. It's one of the toughest roads in North America to ride, and it has a kind of an iconic status. I suppose it was made famous in the series Ice Road Truckers. It's one of the roads that those guys would regularly have to be driving up and down. I didn't ride that road on this particular trip. I did do it the year previously, and these are some of the images from it. When you stay up there, you have to end up staying in one of the oil refinery bunkhouses. I think there is actually a hotel up there, but I think it has very limited occupancy. So like I was saying, it's 555 miles from Fairbanks up to Prudhoe Bay, and then the next day you've got the joy of having to drive it the whole way back. I left Valdez and headed up for the town of Tok. Tok is one of those towns in Alaska, no matter where you're coming from or where you're going to in Alaska, pretty much you have to go through Tok. It was a strange feeling I had in my head. I knew I was finally headed home, which is a kind of a strange emotion when you think about it. I was probably, 5,000 or 6,000 miles from New York, but I knew that the road I was on now was a road that was eventually just going to take me home.
Apart as I sing this song. So look at you now, you don't talk so loud. Your eyelashes have all run out from making them wishes and pulling them out, screaming so loud. I've gotta be. Well, it's all that you want from me. So tonight, I'm sorry for wasting your precious time. Look at you now, you don't talk so loud. Your eyelashes have all run out from making them wishes and pulling them out. Screaming so loud, why won't you save me? Just save me tonight. I'm on your side.
You can't beat bed. Like, I know there's a lot of lads, oh no, we're going to go camping and do it hardcore and all that sort of stuff. Well, I'll tell you one thing, after a brutal day on the road, getting into the scratcher is fantastic.